board chairman says that one of the board members resigned due to some family reasons, and the other said that she felt she was, quote, not in step with the current administration. The resignations come just days after the board voted to launch an investigation into what happened with the vaccine clinic.
To retain an outside investigator to examine the performance of the superintendent of schools, the central office administration with respect to the vaccination program.
The vaccine clinic happened back on January 20th. The Nonawag Teachers Association is now calling for the superintendent and the district's COVID officer to resign. It alleges board members, central office staff, and their spouses were among those who got the vaccine first that day. When supply ran out, they say many teachers on the list were not able to get their vaccines.
We had 66 shots for that Wednesday, January 20th. And I think about half of those allocated went to some teachers. Teachers were really upset when word spread about who was there and other people that were vaccinated that don't spend time with kids. And
Superintendent Dr. Joseph Olzaki says the district's COVID officers sent 2 surveys to teachers, secretaries, administration, paraprofessionals, board members, volunteers, and custodians. One asking for interest in the vaccine and another asking about underlying conditions. In a statement, Dr. Olzaki said, quote, everyone who responded was put on the same list, representing every person equally. Then the list was sent to the health district. Clinic was held at the beginning of the state's Phase 1B, right as the state made the decision to only include people 75 and older first. The Department of Public Health said some clinics were inadvertently able to make appointments for people outside of the category, in this case, essential workers. And that's how teachers and staff were able to get vaccinated in the first place. A Woodbury mom says teachers have played an important role through the pandemic, and she says she believes they should have been among the first in line in general.
They're basically on the front lines, so I think they should be getting vaccinated.
The Teachers Association agrees. As they look forward to the state getting closer to allowing teachers to get vaccinated again, there are some changes they want to see.
I'd like the process to be more transparent, just that the whole staff would have an idea of why people were chosen in the order they were chosen.
Teachers will be able to get vaccinated once Phase 1B opens back up to essential workers. That's expected to be sometime in early March. In Woodbury, Gabby Molina, Fox 61 News.